I wanted to make a quick review today of the new Daniel Smith Pan palette. They have had tubes before of high quality paint, and I wanted to see what the new pans were going to be like. I love their paints, and if you read my blog, you'll know that they are my preferred brand of watercolors, and that I routinely put them in empty pans, let them dry, and take them out into the field because they re-wet so nicely. So I imagined that they would have a good quality pan, and in fact they do. So my review today is not about the quality of paint. If you like Daniel Smith paints and you want to have a factory-made pan, then I recommend that you go ahead and follow through and purchase them. My problem, however, is with the palette, and I wanted to show you my difficulties with it. So first off, when you buy a box with all 15 pans that they're releasing as a group, you get two palettes. One is empty, and one has the watercolor pans in it. And by empty, I mean the other one has pans in it, but they're empty pans. My first problem is that I have great difficulty in opening this palette. It just doesn't snap open easily when you pull the two parts apart. That's difficult if you're out in the field and you quickly want to open your palette. The other thing that's difficult is I found that if I sort of pull on one side and create a looseness there, I can then pop it open. But if you do that too quickly, these are not attached, and so they will actually fall out. And okay, this isn't going to come out. Usually the pan will fall out as well as the watercolor. So they're not attached. And that is a problem for me because I like to whip my watercolor palette out very quickly and open it quickly. Other palettes, like this one from Schmincke, open and they have metal flaps that you fold down over your pans, and it locks them in place. And so I can literally turn this over and shake it, and they don't fall out. And neither do the watercolors from these factory-made pans by Schmincke. Okay? That's one problem. The other problem I have is that the back of the case doesn't have a thumb ring. I like to stand when I paint. This is the Schmincke one again. It has a thumb ring. You can put your thumb in there. You can then, well, I have to open it up first. You can put your thumb in there and hold it balanced like this while you draw and paint standing up. So that's a problem for me. Now, there's another brand of watercolor paints that came out about a year ago or so in pans. The QOR brand from Golden Paint was out in tubes first, but then they did release this pan box. It's some kind of plastic backing or silicone, and then the individual pads of paint are stuck in there. They don't tend to come out readily, and that's a good thing, but they don't have a thumb ring on the back of this. So what I did for this one is I took a thumb ring that you can get on the internet. There's hundreds and hundreds of companies that make them, that will attach with adhesive to the back of your iPhone. So look for an iPhone thumb ring, and you can just attach that there. So that transfers this very nicely. Why can't I just do that with this? Well, the problem is that this isn't a continuous form. Each of these lines is actually a molding depression. So if I were to stick one of those pieces back here, several pieces would not be adhering to anything. Dirt and other gunk could get collected under there, and it would just fall off. So that's not useful for me. So what am I going to do with these watercolor palettes? Well, for me, they're not suitable to take out in the field. I can't open them fast enough without the danger of throwing little pallets and pads of paint all around. and I can't hold them like I'm normally holding things because they don't have a thumb ring. The great news is that it's excellent paint. It's the same Daniel Smith paint. It re-wets beautifully. It's lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these in the studio whenever I don't want to get my tube paints out for fresh paint and I just want to use the little hard pans. The great news about the Daniel Smith palette is that the pans that they use are a universal fit for the Schminke pan if you want a palette, if you want to use that, or most of the sort of off-brand palettes that don't have company names that are made, and they will also hold that universal pan. So one of the things you can do is purchase one of the sets that you want and just pop the pans into your existing palette that is useful for going into the field because it holds things securely and it has a thumb ring. Now, you'll still have the potential problem of the paint falling out of the pans because that happens with the Daniel Smith thing, but once you start to get to use them and some water seeps down in there, they'll stick pretty well. You might want to use a little bit of glycerin and dab that at the bottom of the pan and see if that helps create some suction to hold the watercolor in, and you'll be okay. But there's no reason not to use these if you're looking for quality paints. My only issue with this is I don't like the way that they have engineered their palettes. So that's my problem. And I wanted to let you know because I know it's that time of year when people add these things to their wish list and you might not be able to see them in person.